I'm James Preece, and I'm an international dating and relationships coach. I've been helping singles find love for over 15 years, have written best-selling books, and worked with many dating companies all over the world. My Love Machine podcast is all about finding love, loving yourself, loving life, and finding new ways to help you live your life with more happiness, passion, and success. I answer your questions, interview inspiring experts, and bring you lots of fun new ideas to finally bring you the love you deserve into your life. Well, hello and welcome back to the very latest episode of my Love Machine podcast. Now, today I'm going to be talking to you all about how to find your own path in life, particularly if you're single. And to help me, I am very, very lucky to have a wonderful singles coach with me, Kirsty Bell Jack. Kirsty, how are you doing?
I'm really great, thank you. How are you?
I'm really good, thank you. I am pleased to be here. It is a Wednesday morning, isn't it? It's Wednesday morning.
It is Wednesday. It is Wednesday.
I'm losing track of time, and I've got lots of clients, lots of chats booked in today. So, but first of all, we're going to have a little chat about how to find your own path. So, first of all, can you tell my listeners all about yourself and how you are a singles coach?
Okay, so I'm Kirsty, and I kind of got into the world of personal development when I turned 30, and then quickly became single after a trip to Uganda, which I call my epiphany trip, where I was there for 3 weeks and I was like, oh, I'm so unhappy in my life. And I'd never realized, and it had taken that time away from my real life, I think, to kind of really be able to see that things were not, I think, how I imagined they'd possibly be. So then I kind of spiraled when we broke up, because we've been together for 8 years and we were living together, and I had to move home, and I was 30, and I was like, oh my God, like I failed at life. Like what are the things you're supposed to do in life? You're meant to get married, have children, buy a house. And I had none of them. And I just spiraled into this place of just like, life is shit. And then I started kind of reading a bit more, and I was working in a job where I worked around lots of therapists and things. So I was able to have conversations with people and kind of was talking about my experiences. And I was around lots of people who really loved me, but I didn't have that for myself. And, everyone could tell me, but you're great, you're this, and I couldn't see any of it. And I was also like, I was just quite baffled sometimes when people would like me, because I'd be like, I don't really understand like why you like me, like there's nothing special. I didn't think very highly of myself at all. And I started doing some more personal development and reading, and then I invested in a coach. And I had been in this world as well, in terms of not only being single, but like, what do I want to do with my career? I tried doing a social work degree because I was working in that field, and then that wasn't what I wanted to do. And then I kind of just started doing a psychology degree because I was like, I'm going to be a therapist. And it was just all of these things. I was like, where do I fit? I know I love helping people. I know I love making people feel good and understanding people and having conversations, but I don't know where that fits in the world. And then I got a life coach, and I was like, oh, like I didn't even know this existed. Like I didn't even know this was the thing until a few years ago. So I invested in having my own coach, and then I invested doing my own learning and my own studying, and then I continued doing that. And then I was going to move to Australia last August, obviously pandemic. But I'd already quit my job. I was working as a nanny. I'd already quit my job. So I was like, right, I can go and get another nannying job, or I can just bite the bullet whilst I'm living at home with my parents, waiting for the world to open, and just start my own business. And that's what I did. And that's where we are now. And then singles coach was essentially because I know if I can be happy without having the house, the kids, the husband, all the things that society says that we should have, then I know that I can help other people feel that way too.
Let's talk about the difference between a dating coach and a singles coach. Because what I do as a dating coach, I do work with people to be finding out what they like about themselves and be the best version of themselves and things like that, and to get them into relationships. But What do you do as a singles coach? Is it about making them feel comfortable and taking the pressure off?
Yeah, it's absolutely about that. It's about them being okay with being by themselves. Not that they shouldn't go out dating. If someone says, I want to, then I'm all for that. And, I'm happy to support them in that and everything like that. But it's very much about them being okay, being alone and enjoying this time. Like it doesn't have to be a negative thing until you meet somebody and then life's going to be all happy again because you're with somebody. Because actually, when you're in a relationship, it opens a whole new can of worms of, you're then with someone else and you have to understand them and you have different ways of doing it. And it opens up a whole nother world of stuff. So it's helping someone to just be okay with being them and by themselves, and it not being a negative thing. Because I think that's kind of a lot, in the past I've had people being like, oh, you're still single? And I'd be like, yeah, and they're like, oh, you'll meet like there's a real, and I just want that to be gone. Like, it doesn't need to be that. But I also don't feel like I need to be like, but I'm really happy single. Like, I shouldn't have to be, because no one says, oh, I'm really happy in my relationship. Like, we don't have to do that. So it's really interesting. I'm just trying to change people's feelings around, especially when you're in your 30s and there's so much pressure of, oh God, but I'm never going to meet anybody because I'm this age now. It's like, you could live until you're like 80, 90 years old. Like, it's a big commitment to meet somebody. So actually take your time with it, like take the pressure off a little bit.
That's a great point. I've got a client in his early 50s I've known for years. He's a friend of mine as well. And he's always telling me he can't meet someone, he's never going to meet someone. I said, you could live another 50 years. You're halfway through your life. You could just do a complete reboot, as long as you're happy. And people that are in relationships will look at you, and you've got the freedom to go and do all these things, to work wherever you want, to travel the world, to just drop everything at the drop of a hat and go off and do things. And people in relationships can't do that, particularly when they have children.
Yeah.
But what you're saying to me is so true, because many people come to me because they're deeply unhappy. They're not in a job that they love. They haven't not living a life that's authentic and true to them. They haven't got the relationship that they dream of, and they feel like they failed at life. And one thing adds to the other, doesn't it? And it goes round, it snowballs after a while. So I think it's really important to sort of take a step back and do a whole reboot and a reset, which is what you had to do yourself, you said, after your Uganda trip.
Yeah.
I've got a question about that.
Yeah.
Were you with your partner at the time when you were on that trip?
So yeah, we were together. He was obviously back in the UK. And I was in Uganda. I was on a work trip. I was doing some volunteering, working with some children who were orphaned, and I was helping the workers there kind of learn things around like play and like autism and all these different things. So I was kind of like teaching and going, and I was just meeting like so many amazing people. And I went on a safari, and it was with the person that I was working with. We went there together, and we met loads of people, and we were away for like 3 days. And, just hanging out by the campfire, and we're just having like really deep, great conversations. And then when it finished, all the people we were with were like, could we get your number so we could all go out for dinner and da-da-da. And I just had this light bulb moment of like, oh, people like me. And it's so sad when I say it. I'm like, people actually like me. And I was like, I don't feel like I'm liked in my relationship. And when the relationship was ended, and it literally ended, I was home 5 days and the relationship was done. It was like a very kind of quick turnaround. And one of the questions I asked was, do you like me? And the response was, of course I love you. And I was like, I didn't ask if you love me. I don't actually doubt that you love me. I'm asking, do you like me? And that was it was, we'd been out drinking. It was very much like but it was a real honest conversation of like, I don't feel like you like me. Like, I feel like I'm, everyone else is busy. So I'm then the option. I'm not the option because you love spending time with me. You really enjoy my company, and me to be around people that wanted to be around me, liked me, wanted to have conversations with me. It felt really good. And I was like, I don't have that. And I'm really missing that in my life from my partner.
Yeah, it's so common. That's why I asked you the question, because people own these deeply unhappy relationships, and they're probably not always aware of the case.
I was not aware at all.
No, they're oblivious to it because that's become the routine. That's become what you do. That's become your life.
Yeah.
And what's really happening if you stay in that, you are just settling. You are settling and thinking things might change in the future. And the same is true of jobs, and the same is true of your life. So many people are just settling and just waiting for the next morning, going to work, dreading going to work, and then living for the weekend, and then getting drunk because they want to drown their sorrows, and it carries on. And it's so sad, because I want to try and get people to realise their own value. And that's what you did, isn't it? Realising your own value.
Yeah.
Now, I talk about this a lot in my coaching and on the podcast. So I'm going to ask you the question instead, rather than me just talking all the time. So if someone comes to you and they're in the same situation and they don't really know what they have to offer somebody or why they should be liked, what advice would you give them?
So a thing that I did, and actually I do get my clients to do, is that we don't often, like, we obviously are surrounded by people who love us, our friends, our family, and everything. Like, we don't tend to ask them what it is that they love about us. If we're not in a place to be able to kind of give that validation to ourselves because we're not feeling great about ourselves, I ask them to ask their like friends, family to write a little like sentence or write a little paragraph and find a quote that they think really represents that person and kind of send it to them. I then made a vision board out of all the messages I got from friends, and I still have it around now because in those moments I'm like, it just gives you that little bit of like, oh, I'm really loved. Like if I'm not feeling I'm able to give that to myself, and that's something I get my clients to do, is like, do you know what, if you can't do that right now, let's ask the people that already know how great you are to shine the light on you so you can start seeing it for yourself.
That's such great advice. There's two things I'm going to say about that. First of all, you reminded me that earlier this year on Father's Day, my son, he was 7 years old, he wrote me a little card. On the front of it, he wrote all the things down that he loved about me.
Oh,
And even now, it's almost bringing tears to my eyes, thinking of these lovely things that I made him laugh and I was really strong and all these different things. I thought it was lovely. And that's what you need in life. And
yeah.
then it brings me on to the second point. I tell lots of my clients who don't know this, if you go out on a date, if you go to a job interview, if you go and meet a friend and they pay you a compliment or say something nice about you, write it down. So you've
Yeah,
got a whole
I love
list of
that.
these things you can look at. Maybe it's on your phone, you store a little note on here. And just to remind yourself of all these things other people have said about you. And
Hmm.
that is, it's similar to what you're saying now, but I think just people will tell you anyway without even asking them. They're always trying to pay you compliments and you're not noticing them. If you don't believe it, then the more evidence you have in front of you, oh, they said I was really nice. They said I was really nice. People might think I'm really nice because people often look for things that they hate about themselves rather than things that they love.
Yeah, and they'll seek that validation, so they'll, spring back to that thing that that ex-partner that
Yeah.
they didn't like anyway said about them, and that validates them rather than their best friend who thinks they're amazing and says all
Yeah.
the time, but they're not able to receive it. Like there's that inability to accept it. Like I think there's such that, and we joke that it's a British thing, but the culture of like someone gives you a compliment and you're like, oh, this whole thing, like you kind of bat it off rather than being like, thank you. And like I definitely try to practice that thank you. And I am very conscious of giving people compliments, but genuine compliments, not just for the sake of giving a compliment. And I'll joke and I'll be like, if I give you a compliment, like I genuinely mean it, like it's from the heart, like I genuinely mean that compliment. I don't just
Mm.
throw them around just to try and make everyone feel good. Like it's from the heart. I really mean it.
People are haunted, aren't they, by comments from the past that people have said to them, negative. Maybe it's an ex, maybe it's someone at school, and they're just haunted by these things, and they make you feel bad. But
Hmm.
occasionally, you do get a compliment that can really resonate with you, and it sticks in your mind, and it outweighs all that. So
Yeah,
it is important to think about all this. So
absolutely.
when someone comes to work with you for the first time, how does it work? Is you do it face to face? Do you do it by Zoom because of the pandemic? How does it work?
So I started obviously during the pandemic. So all of mine
Mm.
have been via Zoom. And I think it's quite nice because I think it gives that person that ability of like their safe space of where they are. So they can set themselves up in
Yeah.
their room, in their office, like wherever it is, so they feel kind of comfortable. Obviously, I always encourage to have camera on because I think it's more personable, like it is quite difficult, but obviously sometimes technology isn't our friend and cameras are off. But so far all of my clients have been quite happy with having cameras on, and it's very much via Zoom. And it seems to work. I haven't done any face-to-face stuff as of yet.
Yeah, it's weird. I used to do all mine face to face with the occasional
Hmm.
Skype, but in the last 18 months, it has been Zoom all the time. And I find 99% of clients want to do Zoom because it is a safe space. They can talk
Yeah,
freely, no one's listening, they feel more
yeah.
relaxed in their own, and it's worked really, really well. Although I have got a face to face one coming up soon, someone I met several years ago. She already knows me, but she
Hmm.
didn't ever wants to do Zoom, didn't get on with it because people often
Yeah,
relate Zoom now to work and they talk all day on camera and don't want to do it. But I quite like the face to face sometimes because it's more, you can have a nice coffee and chat and you can bond with them. But I found that Zoom really does work. Just as a
yeah,
slight aside there, I'm just curious
yeah,
about how
no.
you work. And then what would you start with? What are the common issues and things that you do?
So I usually, so my clients so far have all been through my Instagram. So coming into like the world of business and just being like, oh, so I have to create stuff and put it on Instagram, and that's how people find me. I know one of my clients found me, I literally had posted a comment on something else that I'd really liked. They'd clicked on it because I'd said something about being in my 30s and being single. And then they had listened to a podcast earlier in that day and it'd been about getting a coach. So she clicked on my name. My name doesn't say anything about coaching. It's literally my name. Clicked on it, saw that I did a chemistry call, called, we had a call, booked me. Like, do you know, it's just like all the synchronicities there. And I'm like, we were obviously meant to find each other in that moment. You know, it was kind of the perfect timing. But when clients come, I get them to kind of complete a form. So I kind of know what it is that they feel that they're struggling with. And then it's a very open conversation. And I know when I first started, I used to get really anxious about a new client coming on, because just being like, oh, I need to be the expert. I need to be able to do all of these things. And I'd have like, you know, piece of paper and everything everywhere. And then I realized of like, oh, actually, like, I'm there to obviously hold that space to help that person kind of find the answers themselves, because actually we know so much ourselves already, but we are always seeking other people to validate what it is that we're thinking. So, you know, if someone to break up with somebody, they'll speak to every other person to get confirmation whether it's the right decision. They know the right decision, but we just seek the validation. So, you know, it's about obviously like asking those questions, prompting those thoughts, kind of giving that space for it. And then I create like workbooks, which they can choose to do or not. And most of them do them, but it's around, because I'm a big believer in, yes, it's great us doing this, you know, this hour conversation, and we'll talk about lots of things and you'll have light bulb moments and it'd be amazing. But actually that's no good if for the next week you're going to do absolutely nothing about it. So kind of like bringing them back down and putting the onus back on them. And it's not about, you know, me doing everything for you, because I'm only going to be here for a certain amount of time. Like, you need to be proactively making choices yourself. You know, notice when you're repeating a pattern of behavior and doing something about it, changing your state, changing what you're doing in that moment. Like, I would know I would do something in like dating and stuff. I would, if I wanted a response from somebody, I would like be like, right, so they really like, let's say they like cats. I'll find a cat meme, because then I can send the cat meme, because then they'll find it funny and then they'll respond to me. And I had to be like, why am I sending that? Am I sending that because I've genuinely found it and I want to share it with them for no other reason? Or am I wanting a response from them because I'm feeling abandoned, neglected right now? What's the reason? And the majority of the time I was feeling abandoned and neglected. So then it'd be like, right, do I need to send it? No, I don't. And kind of move away and go and do something else. But that's on you, isn't it? Like, you have to, you know, we're there to hold the space, we're there to teach and everything like that, but actually we know so much ourselves already.
That's very true. A lot of my coaching is getting people just to take action, to do things they know anyway. And it's to, well, I do train people and teach them things they didn't always realise, but a lot of it, deep down, they know that it's the gut instinct on these things. Yeah. Whatever it might be, they know they're not happy in their job. They know they're not happy in their relationship. They know that they are just wasting their time with a very poor profile on Tinder, just swiping away and never interacting with people. They know this. Yeah. But they want us to come along and say, well, what should I do? Hold my hand along the way. But we can only do so much, can't we? Yeah. We can't force them to do this. I have some clients, I mentioned this off podcast earlier, that they want to just call me every 2 seconds. And they want to say, what do I do now? She's responded to me, say this. What do I do this? I'm going to meet her now. And you can't do that. You have to get on with your own life. We empower people. That's
not real life.
It's not. It's me controlling it. And I can't do that, because I can only teach people so confidence to start doing that, and then teach them the initial steps of it. And then I work with them all the way. But people need to realise that as coaches, we're there to make them bring out the best of them, and to bring out the best version, the best ultimate life they can have. And that is true. Talking about dating, because many of my clients and many of my listeners will, of course, be single to this podcast. Do people come to you a lot because they want to meet somebody?
There is that element. There tends to be, because they're feeling that they're like lonely, they're different from everybody else, like everyone else is dating and they're by themselves. They feel that things just aren't working out for them, and they just have this really negative view on being single. Like, it's just such an awful thing to be single. And again, that's society. You know, we don't celebrate being single enough. I did a post that recently, and I joke with my friends around it. I say I joke, but I somewhat mean it. But like, we have like anniversary parties, engagement parties, weddings. Where's like, you know, celebrating someone that got out of a toxic relationship? Like, that's all they're worth, and celebrate them for doing that. Where's just celebrating? So this month will be my 4 years of being single. I'll be like, 4 years? Like, go me. Like, 4 years of just not settling, seeing my worth and going, do you know what? I don't need to be with somebody. Whereas, you know, 3 years ago me was like on those dating apps, like swiping, going on dates, hating the dates, really lovely people, but feeling so awful about myself. There was no relationship that would have helped me at all. I just would have sabotaged it again. But yeah, so it's so useful to just be like, right, just helping them to see, do you know what, you don't need, the relationship is essentially the cherry on the top of your life. It's not your life. You don't need to find your other half because you're a whole person already. Like, and there is definitely
I say that all the time. No one needs to complete you.
No, not at all. Not at all.
But people think that. They look at the media, they're with celebrity couples all the time getting together. And I do teach people how to get into relationships. That is what my job is. But many people also want to get out of bad relationships. And that's part of what I do as well. They want to find themselves. They want to just be empowered and have the options to do what they want to do. Yeah. Having the options isn't always there. If you're in a job that you really hate and you need the money, then how do you get out of that? What are the steps? If in a relationship, they think, well, I may as well stay with this person because at least someone wants me and I'll be able to get what I need and get some sort of interest until doing that. Is that healthy? What do you think? Do you think people should get out of these things first or they should do it slowly?
I think it's very much like a unique situation, because again, it depends on what your situation is. So obviously I was in a very fortunate position as much as me and my ex-partner, we were living together, we were renting, we didn't have any children. I was able to move home to my parents. He didn't have that option, so he stayed living on our flat, but I was able to move home. But actually, if I didn't have that option, I don't know what would have happened, because that was a really easy thing for me to do. Like, I literally packed my stuff in the following morning and left because I had that option. So I think it's a really unique thing, but I think that there are ways to do everything if you really want to do it, and whether it is you have to take baby steps to do something, whether, however it is, I think it's very much like a unique thing. But I do believe that we can all be living the life that we want to live. It may not just be as quick as you want it to be, which can be hard for some people.
Yeah. But you admit yourself that you were quite fortunate you could do that, because you had the flexibility and you can go and come back to your parents, which people can do. Not everyone can do that. Yeah. Some people might have to pay the bills and stay with somebody, or stay in the job that they really hate because they can't get another job.
Yeah.
So how do you stay strong during that time?
I think it's finding those things in your day that make you feel good. So I do lots on this stuff of like romanticizing your life, like finding joy in the little tiny things. So one of my favorite things to do, and I do it pretty much every day, is I have breakfast in bed, because I don't have to worry about the other person moaning about there being crumbs in the bed. I don't have to worry about any of that.
Pancakes.
Well, usually it's like pancakes, or like, I love, what's the other thing? I love like sourdough bread with peanut butter, banana and honey. Like, it's so good, but it feels like a really like luxurious, like, this is a moment for me, like, and I'll do my journaling and my meditation, and I'll do that all from my bed, because I'm like, I get to do that. But just like finding the little things of joy. So like your favorite song, you're feeling a little something, go put your favorite song on it. And I think music's magic. Like, the way that music can make you feel is just, it's insane. It can bring you back to a certain point in your life with a few beats of the song, like a good or bad, but it can definitely bring you back to a place. And like, I'll make like an afternoon drink, and it won't be an alcoholic drink, but it's in a really nice glass with ice and fruit. Like, it will be, and it's just finding those little pockets of joy that we all don't acknowledge. That's a real privilege that we're able to do that, because obviously there's so many people that don't have access to anything like that. So
I do love that.
That's how
you've reminded me now that I love to do that in the morning. I will sing really loudly, and I will sing a lot. I do a lot of singing. I sing if I'm in a bad mood. I sing if I'm in a good mood. But what I've discovered is, even though I've got a detached house, my neighbours can hear me singing. I didn't know this till recently. I looked out. My wife's cutting the grass in the garden. Said, I can hear you, everything that was singing. And I cringed. I thought, oh my goodness me, everyone has heard this. And sometimes I sing really well, sometimes I don't. Yeah. So I don't really care, though. I don't really care at the end of the day. No,
but do you know what? You probably bring a little bit of joy, because they can hear you, and they're like, oh, and and like you're spreading your happiness, which is a really, really nice thing.
It's not going to stop me. If they
No,
come out, they
good.
can look on the door and complain to me because I want to do that. I think it's important. It brings the fun. It shows me that I'm excited for life. And if I'm in a bad mood, it cheers me up. If I'm in a good
Yeah.
mood, it accelerates it.
Yeah.
But I think it's important. You're right to have these special moments of the day, whether it's a cup of coffee and a hot chocolate, or a bar of chocolate, or something like that on your
Yeah.
own, or you want to go and just watch your favorite program. Why
Yeah.
not? Don't deprive yourself.
I have like a happy list, and I encourage my clients to do this as well. And it's literally a list of all the things when you're in a good mood, write down all the things that you know that makes you feel really good. So in those moments where we often obviously we get comfortable in our sad places, so it's like choosing to be like, I want to feel good, I want to feel happy. What can I use in my little toolbox right now of my happy list to make me feel good? And it's like having that list there so they don't have to kind of think of something because the list is there. And like I have things like watch an episode of Friends. I love Friends. Like I think it's literally the funniest thing. And I know that without a shadow of a doubt, it'll make me feel good. It'll be like dance around my bedroom, like go have a shower, because I just love that. And I love like that moment. And I'll just have this, and I encourage my clients to always just have that list for your go-to of like in those moments, like you said, have a really nice cup of coffee, put it in your favorite mug, or buy the slightly more expensive coffee, like just splurge a little bit and just enjoy those little moments that you have control over.
Completely agree. I do that. I like to go for a walk up to the pond, get a coffee from a little takeaway place, sit on a bench and sit there for half an hour on my own, just thinking about stuff. And then what I do, I think about gratitude and things I have to be grateful in life sometimes. I try and do this most days. Things I have to look forward to and things that I'm proud about, things that I like about myself. And I do all this. Particularly the worse I feel, I don't always feel bad, I should say that, but sometimes I do have negative days and things get on top of me. I think I've got too many clients, not enough clients, too much to do, I feel really tired. I go up and do these things. It's so important just to ground yourself, isn't it? That's what it is. To bring yourself back, to think, do you know what? It's just a moment in time. And generally, things are pretty damn good.
Yeah.
So don't do that. But,
and it will pass. It all passes, and I encourage lots of people to kind of like reflect on, like, look at all the stuff you've done in like the past 5 years, the past year, or past, when I think when I turned 34 recently, I just reflected on the last 4 years and I was like, yes, we've been in a pandemic, but actually I've done this, I've done this, I've done this, all these things that we don't see. Yes, I'm not in a relationship. Yes, I haven't bought a house. Yes, I don't but I have all of this other stuff that I'm so proud of myself for doing. And we forget them because we focus on, but I don't have this, this, and this, and this. And this is what I think that I should be having. So I'm going to really hard on myself that I don't have these things.
Exactly. That's what I do myself. I think I need to do this and need to do that. But why do I need to do that?
Yeah.
I've achieved all this. I have clients all day long. I have people that love me. I have all these wonderful things. When I think about things I've got, even assets, thinking I have got a house. I've got a fast internet. I've got a giant TV, a big sofa. I've got a nice car. What more do I want? I don't need to have a better car. A car is a car. Don't need to have an even bigger TV. I've got everything. I'm perfectly comfortable. This is why I think of these things, and it's important to be proud of these things. You mentioned something just now about journaling, and this is something else I talk about a lot on the podcast for the simple reason that every single person that I talk to tells me they do journaling, and I've still failed to do it.
No, really?
I've got a journal here, and I do bring this out sometimes, and I've done one page of it about a month ago. This is my journal. See, it's blank, right?
What's stopping you from doing it?
Because I make lists in my head, and I do it in my head anyway.
Yeah.
And I think that's how I store information. I'm nervous of writing down and I'm going to forget about it. So, but that's not good. I know that's not right because it can build up all sorts of stress by doing that. I know I need to write it down. This is why I'm asking your thoughts on this, because I like your tip to encourage me. How do I get on with this stupid journaling business? I say stupid. Obviously, I don't think it's stupid. I want to do it. But I know, how do I make time and how do I just set aside for this? And I have the excuses. I've got kids to get ready for school. I'm always busy. Yeah. I know what the answer is. It's to sit down with that bar of chocolate and a coffee and do it, isn't it? But you tell me, as you're the expert.
So like I obviously try to set myself up for success. So I have my journal next to my bed. So my journal is next to my bed. So actually then there's no excuse because I can then do it when I wake up or when I go to bed. I'm very much a morning journal person. So I will go make myself a cup of tea and then I'll come back and I'll do my journaling then. And I also, so I think like you just finding that sweet spot of where it's gonna fit into your day. But I guess also it's you asking yourself, like, why is it that you think that you should be journaling? Like, I know for me, like writing's a really therapeutic process for me. And I didn't realize until I started journaling that it was felt really good and really cathartic. And I worked so much stuff out myself just through writing. Like I'd start writing about, nonsense about what I had for breakfast or, whatever. And then I would go like, oh, and I'd be crying because I've had a massive realization in the stuff that's just kind of coming out and gone, I didn't even realize that was a block for me. Wow. Okay. I didn't understand that. So it's like finding what it is that you're hoping to gain from journaling, what it is that why you're wanting to do it, why you think you should be doing it, finding the sweet spot as to where it works into your day, and just like trying to have a bit of fun with it, not being like, I have to write down all my deepest, darkest thoughts. It could literally be like that cathartic thing of like, oh, I had breakfast today. It was really nice. Like, it was really fun with the kids. We did this, and just that process of just writing whatever comes up and seeing what happens with it.
Yeah, I need to do that. I think I want to do it because it will clear some thoughts out and leave some more thoughts or other ideas to pop into my brain, and to set some more goals and to write these things down. And these are all things I need to do. But I do a lot of writing anyway in my life because I have to write blogs, I have to write for journalists, I have to write articles, I have to do these things, write to emails to clients. Yeah. And I love to write. But you're probably right. I'm not particularly focused on this in terms of what I'm doing it for. It's just giving me a list of things I have to do and want to do. I've got notes on my table for my desk for the same thing.
Yeah.
But I think it's important. I think if you want to work and change anything, if it's a relationship or a job or a life, then you have to be focused on this. And I do honestly think that journaling is something I'd like to do, and I do recommend to people. But I did get a great expert in once who talked to me about writing with a non-dominant hand, where you sort of let your thoughts go through. But I think what I might do is actually get a journaling coach personally to work with, to sort of force me into this. If someone who specialises in that, and that'll give me a kickstart. And if I don't want to do it, then I've got an excuse. At least I've tried it. Yeah. But I have to take my own advice in life. If I want to do something, just do it. It's like meditation. I can't do meditation. I can't switch my brain off. But that's an excuse I tell myself.
I say that's a limiting belief there, isn't it? Like I can't switch my
I can't, but it becomes that. And you're thinking, I can't do this. I can't do this. If I don't want to do this, my house might catch fire if I do it, or someone might hurt themselves. But no, I think the biggest advice to anybody is to take some action.
Absolutely. But I think also to have no expectations. So when it comes to meditating, don't have this expectation you're going to have this euphoric thing where, you're going to have all of these realizations and you're going to come like, just let it be like, oh, I'm just going to sit in silence for 5 minutes. And that literally be I'm just going to sit for 5 minutes, and then next time do 6 minutes. And like when it comes to journaling, have no expectations of what it is that you're going to write. Just write whatever is coming up in that moment, and then going from there. But I think that we love to have things instantly, with a world of like Amazon, and where we can just be like, well, my parcel said it would be here at 2 and now it's 1 minute past. Like where is it? We always wanting something, where it's like actually like the gratitude of having the opportunity to be able to write in a journal or sit in silence for 5 minutes, like just that be the purpose. No other reason. If you get other stuff from it, amazing. If not, that's great.
Completely agree with you. I must take that advice and I will do these things. I'm very proud of my life and things that I do, and I think I've got a lot going on, but sometimes I need a bit more focus. And I think you're right. I can sit on that bench by the pond and I do think about things. Maybe I could journal them. Take it with me. It's sitting there, and I bring it out to lots of my guests, and I say, I haven't done this. And I do it because I think it's ridiculous I haven't done it, but because it's something I want to do. If I didn't want to do it, fair enough. Doesn't matter. Go back on the shelf for all the other books. But it's like anything in life. And I think it's important, if you want any sort of help, is to get an expert in. If you are single and you want more to be happier in your own life, then get a singles coach like you. Absolutely do that. If you want a dating coach, find me. If you want a handwriting coach, get someone to teach you how to write better. It doesn't matter what it is. But I think I can see the absolute value in what you do here, Kirsty. So if someone wants to find out more about you and wants to work with you, how do they do that?
So the best place is Instagram, and it's my name, Kirsty Bell Jack, but between Bell and Jack, there's I think it's an underscore, because I have a hyphen in my name, because it's hyphenated, but I can't use a hyphen on Instagram. So I have to use an underscore. Okay. So yes, it's Kirsty Bell Jack. And that's where kind of all my content is. That's where there's links to my website, there's links to a free singles download that just shows you how to just love life being single. And then you can kind of contact me to book in a call as well. So it's all there on my Instagram.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. Hopefully people will go and check you out and you get some new followers on Instagram. And Brilliant. So thank you very much indeed. It's been an absolute pleasure talking to you. I know we could talk for a lot longer, but you're a very busy lady, so I'll let you go and work. So thank you very much. I'll speak to you again soon.
Thank you so much. See you later.
Thank you so much for listening. I'd love to give you a free copy of my latest book, which you can download right now from my website, jamespreece.com. If you enjoyed this podcast, I'd really appreciate it if you could share the love by taking a few seconds to write a positive review on the iTunes store right now. See you next time.